Welcome to the Superhero's Journey, episode number 7, a podcast where we talk mainly about superhero movies and TV shows with a bit of Star Wars and other things in this genre. My name is Carl Freemerman, and with me is my co-host,
Brian Shores.
You can find us on Twitter at Superhero Journey, no E in super. Write to us at thesuperheroesjourney@gmail.com, where heroes is plural, not possessive. All right, we got some interesting stuff this week.
Yeah, a lot of it was fairly surprising. I did not expect to be reading a lot of these stories, but...
Yeah, not a lot, but significant interesting news. There's one major story that we're going to talk about later in the podcast.
Yeah, one that I'm sure you guys have already heard about, but are dying to know our perspective.
Absolutely. So I wanted to begin with Dazzler, going to appear in the X-Men Dark Phoenix movie. This is according to Entertainment Weekly.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's cool. I think it's a little misplaced because it would have made more sense in the previous movie, since the Dazzler, I think, was more of an 80s X-Men.
Yeah. They did say it's a minor role. Did that scene show up in the actual movie, the one or that we saw the
album cover?
Yeah, right, the album cover from X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, no, I don't think I don't think they showed us or showed them in the record store.
Okay.
Which I thought that was cool that they took the comic cover and made it the album cover.
Okay, yeah, that was cool. I mean, if anybody didn't know, there was a scene that was cut from X-Men Apocalypse where they were at the record store. It was Jean Grey and Cyclops, and they picked up an album, and it was like Dazzler's album.
Yeah.
And she's a mutant who is a famous pop singer.
Yeah. Has kind of slightly ridiculous powers where she can just turn sound into light. But hey,
you could probably do cool things with that.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to, and I think they would go the route of casting a pop singer.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of speculation of Taylor Swift, but...
Yeah, that was always the rumor going around before.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll continue to do something like that, but it could be... There's a lot of pop stars they could go with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan. I don't... I could probably name some songs, but...
Yeah, whatever.
But, I mean, I do think that, at least look-wise, she would be pretty good casting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if it's going to be someone who is going to have a minor role, it doesn't matter if she's a good actor or not. You know? Because, in fact, they can just have a scene where she's singing, or they see her in maybe a music video, who knows what.
Yeah.
So, just do what she does.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm totally fine with that. I don't... Like I said, like we've been saying, we still don't know a whole lot about it, so I'm open to it, as long as it's not like the Dazzler cameo is just her on screen staring directly into the camera explaining why I'm a horrible human being. I really don't care that much. That's awfully personal.
Yeah, right. So let's move on to Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes.
Got a couple things related to this.
Mm-hmm.
There's initial reaction on Twitter for the movie. There's been screenings. Apparently, critics have seen the movie.
Yeah.
They can't put their reviews out yet, but they're allowed to put their general impressions on Twitter, and it's been overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, which I don't think anybody is surprised about.
Right, and this happens pretty much for every movie, but but usually when the critics one happens, then it does usually lead to actual good reviews.
Yeah.
Batman vs. Superman was the film famous for we had this great initial Twitter reaction, but that was just people who saw the movie who were screenings that weren't actually critics. So it's just random people fanboying over the movie.
Yeah, who were just like, wow, that looked really cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of the general reaction stuff that I saw, a lot of them were basically saying that Tom Holland is great, the movie's very funny, the high school stuff really works well.
Yeah.
A couple of people I saw said that it's the best Spider-Man movie since Spider-Man 2.
Which, that's a pretty high bar.
Yeah, high bar, Spider-Man 2, but everything since, low bar. So...
I don't know, I honestly still, and this is off topic, but I still put Spider-Man 2, I put that as good as pretty much any movie in the MCU. Maybe not any movie in the MCU.
Oh, no, it's definitely
but it's
up there.
Yeah, it's I would say it's high middle.
Yeah. For sure. No, but to say it's the best movie since then, I mean, they might be including that movie, but everything after, it's pretty easy to beat Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
Well, yeah.
So, no. But it's good to know it's better than those things.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited about that movie. That's coming pretty soon.
Yeah. Let's let's see.
In relation to that, I guess let me just move on to
sure.
before we get into anything else. The sequel, they have announced that there's going to be another team up with a different MCU character.
Yeah, which they haven't announced which one yet.
Right.
There's a fair amount of speculation, but
which obviously Iron Man is the one in the first one.
Yeah.
If anybody here is not obviously knowing what that is, but you should know.
Yeah,
you're probably a superhero fan.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen anything from the movie, he's been in pretty much all the trailers. He's on the poster, so yeah, it's just understand that Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man is going to be in this movie.
But that's great, because I want to see Spider-Man team up with other people. We've seen him do so many movies on his own now, and now he can team up with other characters like he often does in the comics.
Yeah, so...
Who do you want to see?
I don't know, because...
Maybe I'll let you think about it, because I got one in my head already.
Honestly, the first one that comes to mind is Ant-Man.
Yes, that's exactly mine. Yeah.
Because you have the both bug names or whatever, which is kind of, it's a throwaway reason, but it's still kind of cool. But I think the way the characters have been portrayed, just being intelligent and capable, but funny and light. I think they would play really well against each other.
That's why I think as well. I mean, it would be fun to see them bounce off of each other. Spider-Man. I mean, he did have the moment in the Civil War with the whole giant man thing. It was something that he thought was awesome and noticed in Spider-Man. So he had the whole, Empire Strikes Back thing reference.
Remember that really old movie?
Yeah,
it's not old.
So they would definitely recognize each other and have this sort of interesting thing that they could do. I don't know if anybody else I could think of. The only thing I can think of is maybe if there's a younger character that could team up with him.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't think of anybody that we've really been introduced to. Because, I mean, maybe Hawkeye, because I'd like to see him be given a larger role.
I want more Hawkeye.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just something that
it's just something about the character
to me now. Yeah. It's after Avengers 2. I was like, I like this guy. I want to see more of him.
Yeah. But I think I'd rather see him show up in. Maybe give him an arc on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That would get me to watch the show again.
That'd be cool. I mean, he could get his own.
Give him his own Netflix show. That's really what I want. Just give him his own Netflix show. Have it be like the Family Man superhero. I'd love that. Yeah. It would be great. Bring back Linda Cardellini and the kids, and he's just going from the farm to, around the world. I just think that'd be great.
It would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm for it.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see. Do we want to get to the spoilery thing for the?
Oh yeah. Let's talk about. So you go ahead with that.
Okay. So they recently have released the full cast list for Spider-Man: Homecoming, where there's a couple.
Now this is spoilers. They're all kind of minor.
Yeah.
I ignored it at first, but then Brian kind of forced me into listening to him tell me what they were for the show.
He was trying to put his fingers in his ears, and I was prying them out. And I was like, "No, you listen."
But after hearing them, I was like, "All right, if you're worried about spoilers, it's not a big deal, and it's kind of cool. It confirms one thing that's really cool." So
no, there's gonna be some real fun stuff, and there's a lot of really cool potential in this. First one is Jennifer Connelly is going to be in the movie. She's listed as Karen/suit lady, but she's also the voice of the AI for Spider-Man suit, which I mentioned to Carl earlier when we were talking about this. I think that's really great casting, if for no other reason than she's married to Paul Bettany, who played Vision, who was the voice of Jarvis. So it's a nice little synergy there.
Yeah, that's great. I wonder if that's the reason why they did it. That would really work. Yeah. People would latch on to that and be like, oh, this is a cool little connection.
Yeah, when I first heard that she was going to be in Spider-Man: Homecoming, immediately my mind went to Betsy Ross or Betty Ross.
Betty.
I'm confusing with the flag lady. Basically, Bruce Banner's girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
Thunderbolt Ross's daughter, because she played her in.
Yeah, but she played her in the.
Yeah, really bad at
yeah, right. He, her, him.
In the Hulk.
In the Hulk, right?
Which is not
the MCU one, yeah. Right? So you would have to get Liv Tyler to play her, which I mean. I don't mind, but Liv Tyler, does she even act anymore? I don't even think so.
I don't know. I don't like. I gave up my membership to the Liv Tyler fan club a while ago.
It was a good fan club for a little while.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it kind of peaked with Armageddon. Dropped with Jersey Girl, movie I still love. But
okay.
Yeah. Then let's see. Then they're gonna have 2 different versions of the Shocker in this movie. They're listed. They have their names, the guys from the comics, but it's Shocker number 1, Shocker number 2.
Which is funny because actually, now that you mentioned that, I remember there was that leaked casting thing a long time ago that had that same like Shocker 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was 100% right, but they were onto something there. It's definitely in the movie.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that'd be kind of cool if they were kind of like the Shocker gang or something like that, you know, because you're taking a character that from the comics thought was kind of lame, and then they're trying to turn it into something cool, similar to what they did with the Jokers and Batman Beyond. You know. Yeah,
it could also just be that it's just the guys using that tech. Like, there's more than one guy using that tech.
Well, because the Tinker is going to be, the Tinker is going to be in the movie. So maybe, he's just supplying people with this technology.
Yeah. Or maybe Spider-Man murders one of them. And the second one has to come in to avenge him.
The movie just comes in like super dark. It turns out Tom Holland's the villain. And like the Vulture is the hero of the movie. He has to stop like the bloody like reign of Spider-Man. I think we just made this movie better.
Yeah.
Then Pepper Potts is going to be in the movie, played by Gwyneth Paltrow. First time she's going to be in an MCU movie since Iron Man 3.
Which is a surprise to me. I didn't expect we were ever going to see her again.
Yeah. Especially given that in Civil War they gave the backstory that basically the two of them broke up, even though I guess she was still like running the company. But
I wonder what they're going to do with that. I don't necessarily care that much because I was already over it. When they said she was going to be in it, I was the Civil War. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Don't need her.
Yeah, I mean, like, she's... Like, I'd be bummed if they did, like, Iron Man 4 and she's not in it without any kind of explanation beyond what they gave in Civil War, but for, like, any of the ancillary movies, any of the movies that aren't Iron Man, I don't really care that much because I wouldn't expect her to be in any of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they did Iron Man 4, which I would love to have at this point, I don't really want I want Iron Man to be, single playboy guy again. That's more fun at this point. And then you can maybe put in a different love interest that I imagine he's had others in the comic that I don't know of. But she doesn't actually end up with him in the comic anyway.
No.
So that's fine.
Yeah. I don't know. At this point, like, I would be kind of not related to Pepper Potts, but it was the thought that I had a while ago, and I was just reminded of this. I'd be okay with they just accept the fact that all of these movies are sequels unto themselves and just get rid of the Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain America, and just all call them like Avengers 1 and 2. Like basically you have like pre-Avengers and then you have Avengers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because I'm sorry, they're like Civil War didn't really have much of a focus. Like beyond like, the team.
But it was a Captain America movie still.
It was.
It continued the story from the second one. It focused on Captain America.
I mean, it also continued the story from Age of Ultron, and
it had elements from it. Yeah.
I mean, it had elements.
Yeah, but it's fine. I like that. Like, you gotta have it's gotta be named. You can't have everything just be Avengers.
Yeah.
It's boring.
I mean,
you just do the subtitle thing, like Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think, because I think at this point, like, you have to just accept the fact that like it's all the same series,
like Iron Man: Revenge of the Mandarin.
Yeah,
starring
Ben Kingsley.
No Ben Kingsley, but you'll have Robert Downey Jr. back as Iron Man and Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange teaming up together to fight the Mandarin and Fin Fang Foom.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're gonna do it,
it's my fantasy.
If you're gonna do it, you have to. If you're gonna do Fin Fang Foom, you have to tie in, Doctor Strange somehow to have it be mystical. Like, but even
I'd love to see Doctor Strange and Iron Man together because just the two like kind of asshole arrogant guys together.
No, I agree. They're the same character.
Yeah, let's see it. Let's see how they differentiate them. Yeah, they'll do it.
Yeah.
All right, what else is there in there?
Just the two last ones. A little bit of confirmation, something that I think everybody was speculating. I think they were going back and forth, but Donald Glover is going to be the Prowler. Because I think there was speculation between that and that he was going to be the Tinker, but the Tinker is someone else.
No, he might not be the Prowler in this, right? He'll be the guy who is the Prowler.
Yeah, the guy who eventually goes on to be...
Who is Miles Morales' uncle.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Which I hope is something that they're setting up something like maybe like 10 years from now. So when like Tom Holland is like mid-20s and they want to bring in Miles Morales, bring him in as like an actual like 13-year-old kid, I think that would be great. I would love to see that. I'd be more than happy to wait 10 years for that.
Yeah, and if anybody listening doesn't know, Miles Morales is another Spider-Man, a younger Spider-Man, introduced in the Ultimate Spider-Man comic book.
And then brought over to the normal continuity.
Yeah, who eventually takes over to become the actual Spider-Man once Peter Parker dies in that universe.
Yeah.
Now, I think they could do this a little sooner. I actually think they shouldn't wait too long because if you think about it, every MCU movie gets every MCU character gets 3 movies, right?
Yeah.
So if you introduce Miles in Spider-Man 2, and then maybe in Spider-Man 3 he actually becomes Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man, maybe he doesn't die in that movie, but you'll have him in an Avengers movie somewhere here and there, or another team up. So like you can have more appearances of Spider-Man, and then you can continue another one and say, hey, we're going to do Miles Morales Spider-Man movie, and maybe do a trilogy of that, or maybe 1 or 2. I don't know. I don't know the character that well. I don't know if he has his own villains that are a big deal, but you can always write that stuff.
Yeah, I only read like the original arc that introduced him. And it was a fun arc. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, because I thought a lot of the praise it was getting was about the hype, where they're like, we finally, it's like, here you have an interracial Spider-Man, and I thought it was a lot of that, but it turns out like they actually kind of treat that as like ancillary. It's just like, oh yeah, he's just a regular kid who happens to be this, who then gets these spider powers, and it's just a really well done story.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out one day. Everybody recommends it, and never been a huge Spider-Man fan, but I like the movies. The character's fine. Yeah, I like him. He's cool.
But yeah, and then the last one, Matt Gargan, who becomes Scorpion, who's a classic Spider-Man villain, is going to be in this too. He's not listed as Scorpion. He also does later on become Venom.
Okay.
Eddie Brock. When he's in the comics, when he's dying of cancer, he goes to like this super villain auction, and he auctions off the Venom symbiote, and Matt Gargan gets it.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think they're gonna do that storyline, but
yeah. And if this guy's in it, I imagine it might have something to do with the Tinkerer.
Yep.
And he'll make a Scorpion suit for him. In the second movie, he'll be like a minor villain of some sort.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get the Scorpion as a major villain.
No, I imagine it's gonna be very similar to the end of it's either Amazing Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man 2, where you just have the guy going through, like, it was a scene that was shown in the trailer. It was like going through the room, and you have like all the different stuff, like the Doc Ock limbs and like the Rhino suit and all that. So I imagine it's going to be something similar like that, something where it's just going to like hint at it, where if you know the comics, you're going to be like, oh, I know who that is, and he's going to come
just
back.
less ham-fisted.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but
all right.
Moving on.
Yeah, so we'll move on. There's been a little news for the Venom spin-off movie. They're saying Carnage will be the villain for this movie.
Yeah.
Carnage is the like offspring sort of the symbiote of Venom, who attaches to this crazy, insane, killer, and becomes Carnage.
Yeah.
Makes sense for this movie. I mean, if Venom has any villain of his own, it's definitely Carnage.
Oh, sure, yeah. I think it's because it does make a lot of sense, but part of me also thinks that it's kind of rushed.
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't really know what they're doing with the movie, so I guess I can't really say it, but...
Yeah, but if you're doing the whole symbiote thing, I mean, whatever. Why not have... it's always... Honestly, in any like origin story type movie, or a good villain is always the one who's the antithesis of the hero.
Yeah.
And that's what Carnage is. Even though Venom is a villain typically. Carnage is that step above, who's just much worse.
Yeah. Well, I guess
Venom did team up with Spider-Man to fight Carnage in the comics. Like it's the moment where he did have to become a hero for a while. So. Yeah.
Well, because I guess like Venom, he's kind of like the anti-hero, where like he's kind of a hero, but he has no problem killing. So.
I mean, I've never looked at Venom as a hero.
Yeah.
Well, not the Eddie Brock version, anyway.
Yeah.
There's later versions that are.
The Flash Thompson version.
Right.
Because, they just can't figure out what to do with that character. But.
Yeah. I don't know how this movie's going to work if he is a villain, because he has to be a villain. The whole concept of the Venom thing is villainous.
Yeah.
The heroic version is sort of the way I look at that is that he's sort of fighting the idea that this thing is evil, and it's trying to make him do evil things, but he has a way to overcome that. Whereas Eddie Brock, it doesn't. He just does bad things. Yeah, he's always been kind of a bad guy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to speculate, just because like they've been really like tight-lipped about the Venom thing. I don't even know if there's anything for them to be tight-lipped about. Maybe they don't have like any real kind of.
I mean, they have to, right? Because they're going to start filming, this year?
Yeah, a couple months.
Yeah, so they must have a script and everything ready. So
yeah, but...
they must know where they're going with it.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, because my hope is that it's going to be, like, 6 years in the future. And, then you can work up to, a story that makes sense to get Eddie Brock the symbiote. Other than just having it just be, like, just there.
Yeah, I mean, how are they going to explain him getting it? Is it going to be alien in origin?
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it.
Because are you going to do it, like, where Eddie Brock gets the symbiote at the same time that Cletus Cassidy gets the symbiote? And that, because I'd much rather have it just be, like, that they just say, like, Eddie Brock's just been kind of Venom for a while. And, this is a thing that comes up and just, like, nobody's really known that the Venom thing's been going around.
You could definitely do that, because he could be a sort of in the shadows type mythical monster that nobody really knows is real or not.
Yeah. I don't know. So, I mean, we'll see how that develops. I'm still not really that excited for it, because I think the whole thing it just seems like it's just a grab, and there's not really much to it, but because I think they've already said that they want to get a Mysterio and a Kraven movie going too.
Yeah, I saw something about that. They're going nuts with this crap. I mean, they got the Silver Sable Black Cat thing, which is another weird idea. Like, I don't know why. Yeah. Like, you don't see Marvel going off and making movies based on their tiny, small characters.
Yeah.
Where there's no Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
It's because she's not a major character. It never has been.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, like, I guess... Well, when they made the Iron Man movie, Iron Man wasn't a major character. He was for a while.
He's been a major Marvel Comics property. Whether he was popular or not, he's always been his own solo hero. He's met many, many comics.
Yeah.
Whereas someone like I said, Black Widow, she was never a solo hero, and I'm sure at some point she had her own comic. Yeah. But she was always another character in another issue of comics somewhere. Yeah. Same goes for Silver Sable and Black Cat and. Even Venom, Venom was never a major character. He was always a big villain who had his own run at one point. Yeah. Where he had his own comic, but he never consistently had his own comic either. So you're doing weird stuff and weird choices.
Yeah, I think they're just throwing whatever they can at the wall just to see what sticks. Yeah. So I don't know.
Marvel, buy them. Buy Sony Pictures.
Yeah, or at least try and do something. Like, I wish they could find, some loophole in, the agreement when Marvel sold the property years ago. So they could be like, oh, yeah, by the way, we said you could never do this, and you did that, so now we have to take it back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It'd be nice, but I'm sure if that was there, they would have already figured that out.
Well, probably the second Disney bought them, they would have... I can only imagine that they threw their lawyers on all this, and... They said, see what we can get back. See what we actually own.
Yeah. All right. So, there's been a little bit of news on the Teen Titans TV series coming up.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be called Titans.
Yep.
It's going to begin filming or production, rather, on September 25th. It's going to be in Toronto, Canada. there was a casting call that went out with descriptions of the characters, who are all pretty much obvious as Nightwing or Robin. I think they said it's gonna be Nightwing though. Yeah. Starfire. Yep. Raven. Yep. And the last one, which I'll read the description and then it seems who it's gonna be, but it's funny because I didn't. It doesn't seem as obvious, but they say
all the other ones. They're like hitting you over the head with it.
Right.
But I will say for the last one, because there's pretty much everybody's on the same page as who I think it is. But if they actually like gave like one hint, like you're kind of like beating you over the head. Yeah, right. It.
Well, so the casting was for a male, mid-late teens, open ethnicity, but then it says Asian preferred, which kind of throws you off, but it would make sense. Then it
Why would that make sense, Carl?
Well, funny and charming. It says amateur thief's humor hides his insecurities and past pain. Not the toughest kid on the streets. He's learned to survive in the world with his wit and quick thinking. So I thought Beast Boy.
Yeah,
and that's what it seems like everyone is thinking.
Yeah, that's kind of where I went.
When they said Asian preferred, I'm like, I could see Beast Boy as an Asian.
Sure.
So that's why I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they put like green preferred. Preference can turn into animals.
Now the label and the name I saw, it said like Jax or something like that, which I was like, it made me think of Cyborg, but only because Mortal Kombat. Oh, okay. And there's a character Jax who has like bionic arms, so I'm like, Jax. What? Okay. Yeah. But then I read the description and it said like Asian preferred. I'm like, no. There's you know how the outrage there would be if you turned the black character into an Asian character? Like, just not going to be okay for most people.
Yeah, so. I don't know. Yeah, when I saw Jackson immediately, I just went to it's Charlie. I think it's Charlie Hunnam's character in Sons of Anarchy, which is a show I've never watched, but I've had to hear so many people tell me how great it is, and instantly I just cringed. Just because I think everybody at this point knows I'm not a Charlie Hunnam fan. Yeah. Nor should anyone be.
Neither of us. Yes. Yeah. Unless, I mean, there are people who really like that Sons of Anarchy show, but I don't know a lot of people who are into it.
No.
But I mean, look, it's weird that Cyborg is actually not one of the main characters.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about this because there are some regular Titans that are omitted, and you have Kid Flash, Arsenal, and Cyborg, who are all on other properties. Even though it doesn't seem like they have much of an issue with crossing over like some characters to other properties, I kind of get the feeling that Jeff Johns just said like, I don't really want to confuse people with having the multiple versions of the characters beyond what we're doing with the movies. So I can kind of see that because you have Kid Flash on The Flash. You had Arsenal on Arrow. You have Cyborg in Justice League. So that's the only reason why I can think of why.
Yeah, and Cyborg, maybe they also thought it'd be difficult to do that effect on a TV budget.
Yeah.
I mean, you could use, practical prosthetic effects, but it might not look that good. Like in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when they did Deathlock.
Yeah.
There are certain times he didn't look good. Other times he looked good. Like they improved it as time went on, but it was definitely something that was a struggle for them.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe eventually, I'd love to see these characters come in, especially because you have Arsenal and Kid Flash, who were among two of the original Teen Titans. It was like out of this list, there's only one original Teen Titan like on there, and that's Robin. Because the original lineup from the comic, it was Robin, or actually it was just the three. It was Robin, Kid Flash, and Speedy, who later became Arsenal. And then a couple issues in, they had Wonder Girl join. So I mean, I'd like to see them come in just because I like.
But this is the more modern and popular incarnation of the team. Yeah. Kind of like what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy. They didn't use the original team; they used the more modern.
But they showed the original team.
Nah. Oh, they showed them?
Yeah.
Right. I thought you said they should. I'm like, no, they shouldn't have used those guys. No. They're not interesting.
No, but they did show them.
Yeah. So, but not until the second movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we make it, maybe those characters show up as side characters, and who knows, if they can attach it to the other universe, that'd be cool, and have Arsenal come back and join them briefly.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Kid Flash, show up, like have him like every once in a while cross between Flash and Titans.
No, they had the white Wally West come in.
Yeah.
They're like
they did that in the comics recently where where they now have 2 Kid Flashes that are named Wally West.
Yeah, that's really bizarre.
Yeah, but I mean, it works kind of.
I don't know if it works, but
I said kind of.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
It's on paper.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do about it.
No.
All right. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I guess I'll bring up the Watchmen TV series.
Yeah.
That is reportedly in developments, in talks to be developed for HBO by the co-creator of Lost and The Leftovers, Damon Lindelof.
Yeah.
So that's good pedigree.
Yeah.
HBO, of course, makes great content.
Yeah.
So this would be really cool to see. I'd be really happy that if this happened.
Yeah, it's because like you said, they're in talks to go into development, so there's really not a whole lot known,
right,
other than the fact that they've said that Zack Snyder's not going to be involved, which
sigh of relief for many.
Yeah, because I thought he would at least be on in some way in producerial, like because he did direct.
Considering him leaving Justice League and issues that with his family, he obviously isn't going to be part of anything at this point.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were going to give him like a no-show producer credit or something. Just because I don't really know how like what his contract is. Because I know he was like essentially like spearheading the DCU stuff, which now it's kind of looking like more of that is being. Going to like the Jeff Johns
to Joss Whedon.
He's
taking over the whole DCEU.
Yeah,
it's gonna become the Buffy universe.
The Buffy universe. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. It's not the Dollhouse universe. Like the one property that Joss Whedon has worked on that just wasn't great.
That didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of excited to see where it's gonna go. I like Damon Lindelof. I like what he's done, even though he did do Prometheus. So there's that. But because there's a lot of speculation that it might not be an adaptation of the comic, and that it might just be like in the universe of. So it might just be other stories of the Minutemen before they disbanded.
Like the old team?
Well, like the team that the Watchmen were.
Okay.
Yeah, like before
right.
all the stuff happened. I mean, pretty much everything's like speculative now.
I would just prefer if they did an adaptation because it's a great story and we did get a good version, but
I mean, I'll say
we could see it again done in longer form.
Yeah, see, here's my only issue with that, and I've mentioned it on here before. If they do an adaptation of it, it takes away from my theory and hope that Watchmen is the first movie in the DCEU, and it justifies why everything has that dark tone, so that at the end of whenever they decide to finish it, they just can't have Batman find the comedian's button and realize that Dr. Manhattan just changed reality, and then they're going to shift it back and give it, like a aspirational, an inspirational, and hopeful feel again.
I mean, that would be awesome, and it'd be incredible for them to integrate something that's so recent in the comics.
Yeah.
Because that almost never happens.
Yeah.
Usually, you're drawing off of comics that are 50 years old, possibly.
I mean, well, because they did the whole Extremis thing in Iron Man 3, and that was only a few years
they have
prior.
drawn on some more recent stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's true. But there hasn't been any that are like really, really new stories that aren't even finished. That's still an ongoing thing.
Yeah. So, I don't know. There's a lot of ways that the show could go. I'm hoping that they contact me via Twitter to get my input. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think they're going to need you. They've got, HBO.
Don't be hurtful.
Look, if it was the DCEU, I would say, yes, call Brian Shores.
Yeah.
He will help you. But these guys, they got it down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I do hope that they tie it together, and I do hope that that they are able to make it be part of like the TV like multiverse. You know, I don't expect ever to see, you know, Grant Gustin show up in Watchmen. But,
yeah, right.
But I mean, like, I would like to, I would like it to just be like one multiverse, like continuity. You know, I like the potential.
I think it works just as a complete self-contained story and a self-contained series, and then just do a whatever length mini series they want to do.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any need to do any extended, like, we're going to do 2 seasons of this. Like, no, where does it go after that? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a series that continued. Those characters didn't continue on in a lot of ways.
Not really, no.
So. All right. Did you have something else before we get to our big story?
Just a couple little things that didn't really bear much discussion. Jessica Jones season 2 is filming.
Yeah, I saw set photos.
Yeah, people are like, she's wearing a different jacket.
Oh, no.
I'm like, oh, that's great.
And the other girl was still in it, her friend, the blonde
Trish.
one. Yeah.
Trish Walker.
Happy to see her back. I liked her.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, not really much discussion there, but let's see. Jurassic World has a title, Fallen Kingdom, which, good for that.
Yeah.
I like the last movie. I don't really...
Definitely. It's the second best Jurassic Park World movie.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Interested in more?
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Last one was fun.
Yeah. And then the last thing, just because I like watching Carl cringe.
Oh boy.
Seth Grahame-Smith. I just read this one this morning. Okay, so Seth Grahame-Smith is apparently in talks at Fox to yet again reboot Fantastic Four.
Just please stop. Kill me.
No, Carl. It gets better though. Okay, it's not going to be the Fan Four stick thing, because this time it's told through the eyes of the children of Reed Richards and Sue Storm.
Amazing.
So it's basically going to be like Spy Kids Fantastic Four.
Oh God. Look, this is probably never going to happen.
Yeah. Oh.
If anybody doesn't know, Seth Grahame-Smith was. He did write a script for the Flash movie for the DCEU that's being thrown out.
Yeah, which I think he was also originally tied to direct it. Which he's never directed anything before, so I think that was a pretty big risk. But yeah, I don't know. The whole thing's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is heavy rumor territory. We don't know if any of this is actually happening or not. But I'm sure Fox is trying to do something with Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I don't know why that something isn't, hey, Marvel, give us a lot of money for this.
Yeah.
Because they're never going to make this work. It's just not going to happen. You guys don't know what you're doing with this. You screwed it up too many times.
Yeah.
So anybody going into it is going to look at it and say, well, both times you did it before was progressively worse.
See, I'll say though, and I mean this 100% true, like genuine. I actually enjoyed the first Fantastic Four movie.
I enjoyed the first half of the first movie.
I mean, no, like I'll say I enjoyed it all the way through. Like I was trying to think for a second if there's anything in the second half that.
Well, the whole conclusion is just awful. The whole final fight and everything with Dr. Doom is just really, really bad stuff. It's cringeworthy, awful action that's just silly and stupid.
Yeah, I think it was very fitting though, like with what the Fantastic Four are though. You know, the first family of the Marvel, universe. Like, I don't know. It was very much like they took pretty much every element of the Fantastic Four, and just put it into the movie, and I thought that was great. The second movie, aside from Silver Surfer, where you teamed up Doug Jones with Lawrence Fishburne, which I thought was brilliant. Mm-hmm. Aside from that, you just got, 2
Silver
hours.
Silver Surfer, I just have to say, though, looked awesome.
Yeah.
I loved the way he looked. And there's that one good scene in that movie, in my opinion, is the chase sequence with Human Torch and Silver Surfer.
That was great.
Very cool scene.
Yeah.
You got that moment where he just phases like through the building and that like ripple effect.
Yeah.
And then that one shot where he's on top of the surfboard and then he just phases through the surfboard.
Oh, he's
like underneath the surfboard, like moving along. It was really cool stuff.
Yeah.
But then they did that weird thing when like they took away his surfboard and he didn't have any powers basically, and he looked like this matte silver instead of the shiny silver.
He was kind of like a dull gray.
Yeah, and it went from being a really cool CG effect that looked great, to some dude in like a gray bodysuit.
Yeah.
And that was awful. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah. I don't know. He should have just like turned back into like what was his name? Nolan Rad. I think before the Silver Surfer.
Whatever. Who cares? But
Stan Lee cares. Jack
probably
the
doesn't
King
actually.
Kirby cared. Probably not.
So yeah. I don't know, and they're never gonna be able to mine enough money. Like, because if Marvel got the if the MCU had Fantastic Four joining it,
yeah,
that would be a big deal. That would excite a lot of people, and that movie, whenever it would come out, would be have a lot of buzz, and people would go see it. But without that mystique around it of the MCU finally getting the Fantastic Four, I don't see any Fantastic Four movie ever being a big deal.
Yeah, and I think at this point, it's really hard to accept any Marvel property, like any Marvel Comics property that's not part of the MCU, because they've done such a good job at like creating this cohesive universe that anything that's now not part of it, it just feels disjointed.
Yeah, and I think I just consider X-Men the exception, because X-Men, there's so much to it. There's so many characters. It's such a big world on its own. And even in the comics, it is sort of odd that like everybody sort of hates mutants, but then they love all the other heroes. So like, it's, to me, that's fine if you want to keep that separate. And like Fox, you've done some good stuff with it. It hasn't been all bad. So I'd be okay with that one staying separate.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird thing in the comics where they're like, yeah, we hate mutants, but then at the same time they're like, but everyone who got their powers later in life is pretty cool.
Like, Spider-Man's the best. We love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yay, save our city.
Yeah.
Filthy mutant. Oh, you saved me, but you're different and I hate you.
Especially because, like, nobody knows that Spider-Man isn't a mutant.
Yeah.
Like, nobody knows that Peter Parker got bit by a spider. Nobody knows that Thor's not a mutant. He could just be, like, an insane mutant. Like,
yeah, he could just be some guy who's a mutant who says, oh, I'm the god of freaking thunder.
Yeah.
I'm a Norse god. Hey, I'm just calling myself Thor. Like,
yeah, like Captain America, I completely get people knowing, because that was in that world, it's a well documented thing of, like Steve Rogers getting the super soldier serum and all that. Like, you totally, like that, yeah.
But it is so long ago that people could maybe at this point, like, hey, maybe he's actually a mutant. It's a secret conspiracy.
Sure.
You don't know.
He's like, they're like, oh yeah, it was just the war machine, at the time the war, like, propaganda machine trying to convince us that mutants weren't a thing. But
yeah, right.
So
this would be an interesting storyline for them to do in the comics.
Carl, let's call Marvel. Just like, hey guys, we want to just like pin down your weird racism.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the big story of the week.
Yes, the big story of the week.
Yeah, the Han Solo spin-off film.
Yep.
Lost its directors.
Yeah.
And in the same breath, got a new director, pretty much.
Yeah.
Let me read the official statement from Star Wars' website, right? Whatever website it was. It was from one of the official Star Wars websites. In quotes, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are talented filmmakers who have assembled an incredible cast and crew. But it's become clear that we had different creative visions on this film, and we've decided to part ways. A new director will be announced soon, said Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm. Unfortunately, our vision... Oh, what is going on with my computer here? Our vision and process weren't aligned with our partners on this project. We normally aren't fans of the phrase creative differences, but for once this cliche is true. We are really proud of the amazing and world-class work of our cast and crew, stated Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Yeah. I mean, the creative differences thing, like, it's funny that they're like, oh, for once it's true. I'm like,
yeah. Well,
that's what they always say. I don't know what happened, but there's obviously some big divide.
Yeah. Well, the speculation that I've been reading lately that I could see being the case is that, especially given the pedigree of Lord and Miller, that they were basically just turning this into a comedy. Where, like... Yeah, I mean,
they've done 21 Jump Street and the Lego Movie, which are straight-up comedy movies.
Also, Last Man on Earth, the show on Fox, is theirs. Oh, okay. Where they even went as far as to name the main character after them. Whereas, like, Phil Miller.
Okay.
But yeah. So I mean, I could see that, but at the same time, like they have to realize like you hired these guys who.
Yeah. Why did you hire them if that wasn't the tone you were going to take?
Yeah, unless they were trying to do like a whole Woody Allen thing where they're like, yeah, he's a comedian who is now going to make some artsy stuff that's kind of funny, but
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like, I'll say that for however much I love Star Wars, I wasn't really excited for this movie.
I wasn't either. I mean, but then I had a little bit more excitement after I watched Rogue One.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like Rogue One very much. I think it's fine. It's not a bad movie.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that there weren't any strong characters that I cared about.
Yeah.
Made me look at this Han Solo movie. I was like, okay, there'll be characters I'll care about. Like I should like Han Solo. I should like young Lando, right? And Chewie will be in it.
I was gonna say middle-aged Chewie.
Yeah, Chewie will be in it. So like, there's characters that I think I'll enjoy in that. So I was a little optimistic, and this whole thing sort of throws that for a loop. I don't know where they're going with it. I don't want any of these, to be honest, though. There shouldn't not ever be doing any more prequel nonsense for Star Wars. Just stop.
I mean, there's some stuff you could do prequel that I would be okay with.
No, Ryan, no.
Carl? No, like, I would love it if it's, like, a young Yoda.
Oh, God.
Just because...
Or maybe the Obi-Wan that everyone wants.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. They would have to do something...
I would be opposed.
Okay, Carl would be opposed. But they would have to do something really great with it. The reason why I say Yoda is because I would love to see a movie done like maybe like 850 years ago, showing the Jedi at their peak where everybody loves them. You don't have a war brewing, you don't have the Sith involvement.
And just do Knights of the Old Republic.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll do it.
Yeah. Because, okay, what makes Yoda an interesting character? Why do we like Yoda?
Just because he has that history. Like, he's kind of a mysterious character who...
There you go.
Yeah.
Mysterious. Same thing with Han Solo. Mysterious. You know what happens when you explain the character's backstory?
I don't know what you're talking about.
They're no longer mysterious.
Because I loved finding out what Darth Vader was like as an 8-year-old. Okay.
Yeah.
That answered everything.
We all
for
love
me.
that, right?
Yeah. And then you have Boba Fett, who, I just feel like there was so much backstory untold in Empire Strikes Back. I love that they're like, I finally got to see what he was like at 10 years old.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, right.
So, all the answers that I needed are right there. So
yeah, because with Yoda, see, like, one of the reasons I like Yoda so much was because in Empire Strikes Back, he does that whole, like, he's this weird little creature and he's kind of being a jerk and doing weird things and messing with Luke, and then you find out, oh no, wait, he's actually the Jedi Master that he's there to meet. Like, that was a cool reveal if you hadn't seen those movies. That was a surprise. I didn't know that was happening. Yeah. And you loved that. That was great. But then when you see more of him in, like, the original movies, not the original, sorry, the prequels I meant.
You guys heard it first. Carl views those as the original movies.
No, that's not true. He doesn't have any personality like that. I mean, I feel like that was part of his personality because that's what we saw. Like, he can be like silly and play around and do things like that. But we never saw any more of that in any aspect.
Yeah, you only saw a little of it when he was with the younglings, when he's like, just kind of like teasing him and like joking with him a little about like, or when he's like teasing Obi-Wan about like the Lost Planet, which was a little awkward. But I feel like for the role that Yoda was given in Empire, and then which ended out in Jedi, he should have been given a much larger role in the prequels than he had.
Yeah, I mean, they could have, but I didn't need to know more about him, and I don't want to know more about him. Like, I like that. What I saw of him was enough in those 2 movies. Yeah. And I didn't need any more. Yeah. And I feel like anything else you do for that character will just make him less interesting. Like, I didn't need to see him jumping around like a little monkey fighting with a lightsaber. Like, I didn't need that.
I did.
It was somewhat cool, but definitely felt out of character.
Yeah, but it was cool. I don't care.
Yeah.
I like Star Wars.
But I do too. I
Not
really
as
do.
much as I do, apparently.
No, apparently not. But hey, look, I'll tell you my idea what I expected Yoda to do when he fought was to him never have to hold the lightsaber. And him just to use the Force and have it float around him and block stuff.
So lame.
It would be so cool. What are you talking about?
It would have looked so dumb.
The thing just zooming around him, blocking attacks. While
so he's just like standing there, like with his hands up.
No, he's just got a sort of like meditative, like look to him. Like he's got his legs crossed and he's just floating here a little bit, or
that would have been so dumb, dude.
Or he's just walking slowly, with his arms crossed or something, or his hands together while the lightsaber's, blocking shit around him. It would be so cool because he's not supposed to be a physical presence. He's a little guy. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
He's tiny.
I think it was done. It was done for the surprise and the shock value.
Yeah.
And it was cool.
And that's not the right reason to do things,
yeah,
but okay. So let's.
It worked, okay? Just accept
it worked. That's debatable, but hey. So the new director chosen is also really surprised me.
Yeah, super confusing.
Yeah, so they picked Ron Howard, which seems a totally different direction.
Yeah, it's definitely a pendulum swing from where they were.
Yeah. Now Ron Howard is a great director. He's done, and I'm going to list off a bunch of movies that he's done.
Sure.
He's directed Cocoon. A movie called Gung Ho, which a lot of people don't know that I really liked.
Yeah, with Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, right, with the auto plant factory, with the Japanese company takes over. Yeah. Fun movie. I like that one. Willow, Parenthood, the one with Steve Martin, Backdraft, Apollo 13, Ed TV, which I kind of thought was fun.
Yeah.
The Jim Carrey Grinch movie, which
I forgot he did Ed TV.
Yeah, that's weird, right? That weird Jim Carrey Grinch movie, which. A Beautiful Mind, Cinderella Man, The Da Vinci Code, and then all of its crap sequels. Yeah. So he's got a couple bad ones in there.
Yeah.
Frost Nixon, which I didn't see, but it's supposed to be really good. In the Heart of the Sea, not a great movie. I saw that. And the last one I wanted to mention was Rush, which if anybody hasn't seen is a really great movie with Chris Hemsworth, and it's based on a true story about these Formula One race car drivers who had this rivalry. Really good movie.
Yeah, which I didn't see, but I've only heard good things.
Yeah, I recommend that one for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, good pedigree on that.
Yeah.
Seems totally different direction because all these movies most of his stuff is very serious, and there's a couple comedy things in there.
Yeah, because I mean, he also did Splash back in the day.
Splash too, right? Yeah, I didn't write that one down.
And I think Splash is an important one to, mention because that was back when like Tom Hanks was a comedic actor, too. It's he's not the serious dramatic actor that he kind of became after he became known for like Philadelphia. So I think it kind of lends some hope that Ron Howard can do the balance between humor and drama that you would expect for Han Solo.
He definitely can. I'm not gonna say he can't because he's done comedic stuff. Yeah. He does a lot more serious stories in these movies, but I mean I'm actually very excited by this choice because he's a big time serious director. You don't often see that happen for these movies.
Yeah, but I mean it makes sense because he's already done movies with Lucasfilm with Willow. He's kind of in that group of directors with like Lucas and Spielberg and Coppola, where they all kind of came from the same place and or came up around the same time. So it kind of, I think style wise it'll fit, but I don't know. It's because they've been well into shooting, so they're gonna have to.
Yeah, that's really strange.
They're gonna have to take a pretty big shift. They might. I would not be surprised if like this gets pushed back like a year.
It could, and they're doing reshoots, which they say, they were already planned, which obviously, I mean, is probably true because all these movies have reshoots now.
Yeah, and because Rogue One had a similar thing where, Gareth Edwards, still kept the directing credit, but he didn't do the reshoots on that. They brought in another director.
Did they?
Yeah,
okay.
It was Tony something.
Yeah. I didn't quite like that movie that much, and I felt that the stuff that they possibly changed based on what we saw in the original trailers to the original movie to the actual movie, maybe made it worse.
Yeah.
But we'll never know for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of just took Rogue One for what it was, which was just like a nice bridge between all of the different like Star Wars properties that you had. Because you had a nice because it tied in the prequels with Rebels, which with the original trilogy. So I thought that was really cool.
It was definitely like something for the fans.
Oh, no.
It didn't seem like...
It was 100% fan service.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a movie that should have existed on its own. Like, if you wouldn't have made that movie if there weren't all these other Star Wars movies and the huge fan base that's just going to eat it up.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, the movie didn't really serve any purpose. I didn't gain anything from seeing it with the with like one exception. Which I actually really liked it, that the flaw in the Death Star was planned.
Yeah, that's the only thing
that was great.
that movie did very well. Like, you needed to know that because that's the one huge sort of little plot hole in the first movie that you wonder why the hell it was so simple to destroy the Death Star, and now you know.
Yeah.
But you didn't need a 2-hour movie to explain that. But
But
they made money off of it.
Yeah.
We'll get more Star Wars. That's a good thing for most of us.
And you finally saw why you should be afraid of Darth Vader.
That's true.
Aside from him just kind of being a dick.
Yeah. I mean, he's always been an imposing threat, but now we actually got to see him in all his glory.
Yeah, and I think it was a really great...
Although he didn't need to be in the movie. It wouldn't have mattered if he wasn't.
No, and I actually think the middle part that they had with him, they could have done without. I think it would have been so much better if he just showed up right at the end just for that scene.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it would have had a lot more impact.
Mm-hmm.
But, you do see... because you do see him being like threatening and imposing and very skilled with a lightsaber, much more than you saw in A New Hope. But it was a good transition from getting to see what Anakin did with a lightsaber and Revenge of the Sith to A New Hope, like where it essentially was almost as bad as 5-year-olds with like sticks in like their backyard.
It's not that bad though. I caught A New Hope on TV the other day, and I was watching that fight with Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. And it's much more simple.
It's much more fencing than...
but I was like, I liked this, though. It was fine for that movie. I didn't need it to be over the top. And for them sort of having a discussion, things happen, like talking while the fight is going on, that worked really well. It built tension.
Yeah. I don't know. And it was definitely... I would say it's definitely like the low point of like visually interesting lightsaber fights. Not that was...
Yeah, but I thought tonally effective, if not...
Yeah, no, I mean, it didn't hurt the movie. It didn't, like, stand out, or it, it didn't seem out of place. Mm-hmm. It made sense, but...
All right, so let's move on to our special for tonight's episode.
All right.
Today's.
Today's. Whatever time you're listening to this.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to do, and we want to do this each year now.
Yep.
For however many years we'll do this. We're going to do our Superhero Movie Awards for 2016. This is going to be including all the movies from 2016 as potentials. Actually, let me go through the potential movies, the nominees for all these. We've got Deadpool, X-Men Apocalypse, Captain America Civil War, Doctor Strange, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, Batman the Killing Joke, which was animated feature, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Out of the Shadows, which is a comic book property, and they are basically superheroes, so we'll include them. Will they win any of these awards? I don't know, but some of these awards, every category is a best and a worst for the most part, so there's a chance for any movie to achieve these. Let's not start with best movie.
Okay.
We'll save that for last.
Wait, do we want to go bottom up?
Okay, sure. Let's do that.
Yeah. Because then we'll build toward best movie.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll start with biggest disappointment then.
Okay.
I'll go first then.
Okay.
My biggest disappointment was Batman vs Superman.
Tied.
There you go. As a whole, the whole idea of the movie, the concept of the movie, the characters, the villains, just the execution, everything about that movie was just a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
It should have been so much more and so much better.
Yeah, when you have and this is where I'll give that movie a lot of credit. When you have that much talent between the actors that were cast, like a director who, just paints with a camera, like you have the support from the studio, you have the support from the fans. It should have been so much better.
Yeah.
And they just, I don't know, they seem to just kind of toss that all away.
Yeah, it was sad. I mean, because I don't dislike DC. I just dislike the movies that they've been putting out lately.
Yeah.
And after Man of Steel, which I didn't love, I didn't think it was bad. I just didn't think it was very good. Mm-hmm. But there were good things in it. And I thought, okay, this is a good base you can start off of and you can build and make something really good in the second movie. And then this was the second movie. And it's arguably worse in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And
yeah, when that movie came, after I saw that movie, or the summer after I saw that movie, and I think I said this to you, that if you told 10-year-old me that I would be more excited about a movie starring Captain America than a movie where it promises Batman fighting Superman.
Yeah.
I would have just said, like, why is an older version of me talking to me? And then I'd be like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, who would have thought? Batman vs. Superman, not as interesting as Captain America vs. Iron Man? Like, what bizarro worlds are you living in? But
yeah,
that's the real world we live in today.
Yeah, it's so weird, and such a credit to Marvel that you take characters like Captain America, which I really did not care about for such a long time.
Most people didn't. Even Iron Man.
Yeah. Iron Man was such a surprise when that movie came out because nobody cared about that character.
Yeah.
Like, he was such a throwaway. He was like a third-tier character at that point, and then he became like their flagship, their flagship title, and that was awesome.
All right, so the next category is Best Surprise.
Yes.
And my best surprise was Giant Man in Captain America: Civil War, which, if anybody doesn't know what I mean, is the moment where Ant-Man, instead of shrinking, becomes giant-sized.
Yeah.
And it has to fight the entire Avengers team, and there's so many great moments out of it. And we sort of got this spoiled a little bit before the movie. But if you weren't paying a ton of attention, they hid this. They didn't put this in the trailers. They kept this a secret as much as they could. Mm-hmm. And it's something you would never expect to happen in a movie like this, a superhero movie. I mean, you wouldn't believe that they would just do this really fantastical idea of somebody becoming giant-sized human person fighting other superheroes, but they did it, and they did it really well, and it was one of the most exciting, most fun moments. And everybody coming out of this movie, when you ask them like what they thought about the movie, that's something that most people are like, whoa, that was such an amazing moment in this movie.
Yeah. See, I did not find that a surprise, just because, well, it was ruined by the toys,
right?
Because they were listing, when you have the Ant-Man figure and you label it Giant Man, he's going to become Giant Man.
Right, yeah.
So that kind of ruined it for me, but also it's just an aspect of the character that I'm like, okay, it'd be ridiculous to not show that.
Yeah, sure.
Because they were kind of hinting at it throughout Ant-Man, because you had the ant that turned giant size and stuff like that. So there's no reason why he couldn't. So that didn't really take me by surprise. I actually put down the entire movie of Deadpool as a surprise. Because
it was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, because going into the movie, I'm like, it'll be fun. I didn't realize I was going to enjoy it. Like, there's very little that I can think about that movie that I didn't like, but it did have surprises in it, stuff that I'm like, oh, that's really awesome, and it's stuff that they never gave any attention to. It was just stuff there for fans, like for the fact that the final fight in the movie takes place on a helicarrier. That was really awesome.
Yeah.
So it was stuff like that. About the whole movie, there was so much about it that it was such a pleasant surprise that I kind of had to give it to this beyond anything else in the movie.
I mean, for them to nail Deadpool and the costumes so perfectly,
mm-hmm.
and Colossus also, mm-hmm. them to do him completely CG, but it being better than any other version we could have expected of that character. So great.
That was a great thing, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. This was one of the few comic book movies where through and through, you're watching it and everything in it looks like it's on, from the comic, and it makes sense, even down to the point where you have Negasonic Teenage Warhead in one of the X-Men like student training suits.
Yeah, awesome.
Which could look ridiculous, but you get it in the reveal toward the end of the movie, and you're like, that's what that would look like. That's what that should look like.
And another part of that great surprise is just that character, Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Just kind of a throwaway character in the comics that they changed for the movie. Yeah. And a pleasant surprise. Like I like that character. I want to see more of her. And just that the whole with the phone thing. And, it was just great. They really did a good job with it.
Yeah, no, she had a great back and forth. Like, I love when he's like, where he's basically just like calling her out for being a teenage girl. He's like, "What are you gonna do? Make it? Give me a mean comment or a long sullen silence?" She's like, "You really got me in a box here." Like, come on, that was great.
Yeah.
I gave that to Deadpool as a whole.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
All right, next one we have is the worst story.
Yep.
And this one, I debated between two movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say the runner-up quickly. It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, because the story just doesn't. They didn't really bother to put together a good story, but I didn't fault it too much because whatever, it did some fun stuff. But I give it to Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Because that movie's story is just a real mess of nonsense.
It was a mess.
Yeah, like just the execution of the introduction of the characters several times over, to the nonsense of the villain, the way the villain becomes the villain, and how they let her escape, and the whole dumb plot of the villain trying to just punish the world for not really interesting reasons.
Yeah.
And just God, even Amanda Waller and her be like the thing that they were going into the city to get, which was the secret when they get there and find out, like, oh, the mission was to save her. I'm like, what? Yeah. Why? Like, why was that the mission from the beginning? It's just it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's just so poorly written. And you could try to argue and explain away how some of that makes sense, but ultimately it's just bad writing, and it's never nothing interesting really happens in that movie.
Yeah. And I will not argue with you that there really is nothing really to that story. However, we swapped on that. That was my runner-up for this one.
Oh, yeah?
I gave it to Ninja Turtles.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Because I can't tell you what the story was.
Yeah.
It was so loosely just like threaded around, okay, we want to put Bebop and Rocksteady in this, we want to put Casey Jones in this, and we want to get Krang in there. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Just get whatever filler you can to put those things in this movie, and that's all. And that's really all it comes down to. Like I can't tell you what the story was.
It was such a super generic plot of like, there's these things that they want to get, Krang needs to get to make this dimensional portal to bring him into the world, and you just need to stop that. And like and it was, and the other reason I guess I gave it the runner up because it's basically an episode of the cartoon.
Yeah.
Drawn out into a movie.
Yeah. And
it is what it is. It was never confusing or disjointed. It was just not good. You know, just rather basic and simple.
Yeah.
You know, to the point where you can't really look at it and say, oh yeah, that was an interesting story. Like, no, that was the most basic story you could ever have written.
Yeah. See, at least with Suicide Squad, there was stuff about it for me to get passionate about to hate, whereas this, it's literally just like, this is a complete and utter waste of time. There's no, like, I didn't see a potential. Like, Suicide Squad, I saw the potential where it could have been so much better. This I didn't.
Yeah. And that passion is what made me give it the award. Because I'm like, no, it's like, it bothered me how bad it was.
Yeah.
Whereas Turtles was like, yeah, well, whatever. It was.
Yeah. Which is why I said that was the worst story, because it was so throwaway.
Yeah, but we were on the same page, like just about the same one.
I thoroughly enjoy that this is like the exact opposite of like our villains ranking. Where like we're lining up so similarly.
All right, so then let's go to best story. I don't know if let's see.
Let's say it on the same time, because I have a feeling it's going to be the same one.
I don't know. We'll see. Really? All right. 3, 2, 1. Doctor Strange.
Wow.
Whoa.
That doesn't surprise me though. See, I know how much you love that movie.
Yeah, I actually really thought about giving it Civil War.
Yeah.
And I thought you might too. But gave Doctor Strange the edge.
Mm-hmm.
because while I do really like Civil War story, it is something we've seen before, heroes fighting heroes type of story.
Where have we seen that?
I mean, Batman vs Superman did it earlier, right before it, but you always see the heroes clashing at some point. I mean, this was a very special version of it.
We see that more than the hero fighting a villain?
Well, no. Obviously, that's a normal story.
And have we seen it done better?
Well, here's why I gave it Doctor Strange.
Okay, yeah.
Because
you love Doctor Strange.
I thought he was a good origin story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
I liked his character.
Yeah.
Him being this arrogant doctor, getting into the accident, having to,
refusing to save Rhodey.
Yeah. Humbling himself, learning this mystic art and becoming a sorcerer, but then getting involved in this really interesting sorcerer world, and him sort of not wanting to do it, but then with what's her name, the Ancient One, and her role in it, and him realizing, that he needs to, that there is a greater purpose, and her death was really impactful for him, and the way they finished, the end of the story was really interesting with him tricking Dormammu. I really like the way they wrote that story a lot.
Yeah.
And it did a lot of things. It was an origin story, but it somehow did things very similar to stuff like Iron Man, but also really got you interested in that world and gave you a really great ending that you could say is something different and really good.
Yeah. I mean, for however much I did enjoy Doctor Strange, which is probably a sentence you probably wouldn't expect me to say, just because for you guys that don't know, I love just ripping on this movie because Carl loves it so much. But no, it was a good movie. I did enjoy it. It had a lot going for it. But what kind of edged it out with this really was the fact that I did find it to be MCU formulaic. The end I really did like, the whole thing with the Infinity Gem, stuff like that, where his showdown with Dormammu was really great. But really it all came down to Civil War. I was a lot more invested in it, which granted, I have the investment from the other movies, but I think it was just a much more interesting story. I really liked that it wasn't just pointless hero on hero. I love that it wasn't actually them fighting aggressively. It was more like a sibling rivalry, where it was, I don't want to fight you, but I'm going to stop you. I don't want to try and hurt you. I just want to prevent you from doing this. I want to take you in so I can help you, or I can stop you from doing this thing because of what I believe is right. Whereas, otherwise in pretty much every other superhero movie, including BVS, it's like, no, I'm going to try and kill you. I want to inflict pain.
Yeah, right.
So I thought it was a completely different take on, like a reason for conflict. So I really like that.
Yeah, it was great, and I wanted to give it to that as well. I just gave the slight edge. I didn't want to give everything to Civil War.
Yeah, I actually gave very little to Civil War because of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I tried to be fair to everything else because so much of the positives would have just gone right to it.
Yeah. There's so much good to say about that.
Yeah.
So let's go to our next category is worst visual effects.
Okay.
And I actually gave this to Batman: The Killing Joke.
It was a cartoon.
Yes, it was a cartoon.
But
it was a poorly animated cartoon with just uninspired art design. Like, the art design is essentially the animated series, but worse.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it wasn't the most fluid animation, but it was, I think the art style was a good cross between the Bruce Timm style and the Brian Boland style. So I don't know. I like that. Maybe I think maybe I just appreciated that more.
Yeah. I mean, I could give it to something else, but the other movies, like, they have their ups and downs. Like this visual appeal of this movie was just really off-putting. I really hated looking at it, and whether I like the movie parts of it or not, I like some of it. I didn't like some of it. It just bothers me how lazy they are with the animation and art on these movies. Like, if you're gonna make a traditional animation style movie, like, put some goddamn effort into it. Like, I don't want to watch half of these, straight to video DC animated movies anymore because the animation is so bad on most of them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is. because you have the like the American like art style, but you have the anime style animation where it's just really like choppy and stilted.
Yeah.
So it is a little jarring. So I mean, I can understand that. I actually gave it to Ninja Turtles because when you have a movie that's predicated on visual effects, because you're not doing those characters practically, it's all CGI. Make sure they look believable. Don't make it look like, you know, they're added in, even though I know they are.
Right.
I don't know, like so much of it just came down to it just not looking like visually interesting, where you have kind of cool character design, but the execution was just poor. And when, you know, it's when you have a Michael Bay movie where everything about it is visual effects, make sure you have the best visual effects, which they didn't.
Yeah.
So I had to take it away from that.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, more of the design of the turtles is the big part of it. Yeah. I did like Rocksteady Bebop and Inhuman Krang. He looked pretty cool. But let's move on to the best visual effects.
Okay.
I gave that to Doctor Strange.
Me too.
Yeah. That's pretty much a no-brainer. I mean, you saw some really great things. Obviously, the scene with him being thrown through the different dimensions.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Like, big standout moment.
Yeah, like the shattering effect was cool. The you know, the Inception folding the universe on itself was cool.
So good. See, there's so many moments they do that. Like, of course, they have the part in the beginning with the Ancient One, but then later, the whole big chase sequence with Caecilius going after Doctor Strange and Mordo, and then the Ancient One showing up, and all the crazy, you know, effects of the world changing and shifting as they're trying to escape him. That big action sequence played out so incredibly well. Yeah, it's just something you'll never see anywhere else ever. Yeah, and that alone was enough to give it to it. But even the way they did a lot of the effects of the magic, I love the way the sling ring makes the portal. Yeah, that's cool. A really cool effect as well.
Yeah, no, and all of it was you know, what I've come to just like term the Jurassic Park effect style, where they basically just look and see what they can do believably, and they do that. Yeah. You know, they don't take the risk of it failing, you know, on the big screen. They look and see what's something that we can do that's going to look great, but we know we can do it, and they did it. So I thought it was just excellent.
Oh, I can't not mention the finale action sequence where they're fighting against Caecilius in reverse. So while time is reversing, they're having this big action fight sequence. I mean, incredible stuff. I mean, some of the stuff they do in there, I'm like, how did they even pull that off? It was really amazing. Yeah.
So I don't really have anything to add to that. It was just excellent execution.
Yeah. And agree on that one.
Yeah.
Worst action.
I have The Killing Joke.
Really? Okay. Well, yeah, I could see that. I gave it to Suicide Squad.
At least I was thinking about that, but Suicide Squad at least had some fun action.
Really? When?
Like, I don't know, some of the stuff with with Deadshot, you know, was kind of cool, but like it wasn't great. Yeah. Like I said, it had some fun. Like, that's the best I can give it. Killing Joke just didn't really have any action. So
yeah, like that final fight with Batman and the Joker, I was like, this is the most pathetic. But I know the Joker can't really keep up with Batman, but I'm like, why are we doing this right now? This is sad.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of gave it to that out of default, but
they had some good stuff with Batgirl in the beginning, I thought.
Yeah.
But I mean, Suicide Squad. Yeah, outside of that one sequence where Deadshot looks like a badass shooting all the putty monsters, you know, with his gun on top of the car, that hero shot moment. Yeah. There is almost no good action in that movie. Like, really uninspired, poorly executed action. Yeah. You got a lot of generic, like, shooting these monsters and, like, punching them or hitting them with a bat and, like, just nonsensical action that's not fun or interesting. And
see, I think they could have gone the route that they did with the first Avengers movie, where I remember watching a featurette for the action for the original Avengers, and they were talking to the stunt coordinator for it, and there's a scene toward the end of the movie where you have Captain America like running, you know, basically doing like this parkour course throughout New York, and that came from Joss Whedon going to him saying, I want you to just create something really fun for your team to do. He's like, because if you're going to have fun doing this, it's going to look great on camera. He's like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Start here, end here, and then just set it up. And they were talking about like, yeah, we had a blast, so we had this, and then we had, Chris Evans do this. And I think that was a huge missed opportunity for Suicide Squad, where they could have just gone to the stunt department and said like, okay, so you have a guy who's an excellent marksman. You have a crazy chick with a mallet. You have a guy with boomerangs. I want you to think of the most fun things you can do with these and do it. And we'll see what, we'll take what works. I think that could have been incredible. I think this could have been one of the best action movies if they just trusted the stunt coordinator to do what they do best.
Yeah, really true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Captain Boomerang, like, he never does anything cool or interesting.
Yeah.
The stuff he could have done with that.
Yeah, like just make him a martial artist and have him flipping around and he's throwing like all these boomerangs out of his coat.
That final fight sequence was really bad. It was like a lot of choppy editing and even the way the whole like Enchantress sort of fights them for a while and then the end's like, I'm just gonna pull your weapons away with my powers and end the fight immediately. Like, why did you even
why was
start the fight? Like, what was the point? If you're that powerful, why? Yeah. Like, this is stupid stuff all the time in that movie. I can't. It's enough. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Best action?
Civil War.
Civil War,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just A+, top notch.
Yeah.
Honestly, in my opinion, one of the best action movies in the history of action movies.
Yeah, because it was again just what I was talking about with the Avengers. They were able to just showcase like the best stuff that each one of these heroes could do, and they did it believably against another hero who was also doing the best they could do. It was great.
Yeah, and you can just remember and you think about them. Like, Captain America and Bucky, being chased by, what was it, the military or the police.
Yeah.
They were coming after them, right?
Yeah.
And that sequence in the stairwell, I mean,
yep.
And then the continuing chase after that with when Black Panther comes after them. Like,
yeah, and like they're outrunning cars, like in the...
Yeah, and the moment where Bucky grabs the motorcycle and like flips around and jumps onto it, and it's just really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then of course
the
airport fight sequence. I mean,
incredible.
The most incredible superhero fight sequence ever put to film.
Yeah, like, because I'm watching this and like I'm flashing back to just how excited I got watching. I have to stop dropping stuff. Watching the first Avengers, and you have the scene where it's like this panning shot going around the Avengers while they're like reloading, like the bow and arrow and the guns, and like, Iron Man's coming down, and you're like, that's the most badass thing ever. Look, it's all the heroes together at the same time. And I'm like, nothing's going to beat that. That's exactly what I wanted to see in my childhood. And then you have this airport sequence where I'm like, even more characters that I love, and they're fighting each other, and it's super awesome.
So many good moments. I mean, you've got the Hawkeye shooting Ant-Man on the arrow, going into Iron Man, and then getting into his suit, and then having that fun joke, and then him... of course, becoming Giant Man and Spider-Man doing the AT-AT Star Wars, Walker webbing around his legs to have then Iron Man and Rhodey like punch him in the face and knock him over, and then Spider-Man fighting Falcon and
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, just really good action sequences. All of it's so good.
Yeah. And they managed to make it just be like really light and fun at the same time. Where like you said, where you have Spider-Man fighting Falcon and Winter Soldier, and he's like, you have a metal arm? That's so cool.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to talk about their tech, because he's like, we're all buddies, right? Like, we're all Avengers basically.
And then the Captain America versus Spider-Man part was really cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like it was so
like you expect Spider-Man, he's stronger, he could overpower him, but Cap is just more skilled.
He's just a better fighter, yeah. And then you have the Bucky and Cap versus Iron Man fight at the end.
Oh god, yeah, so good,
so great.
Oh my god, that sequence is actually like pretty long. Like even to the point like where he's Iron Man trying to escape and get out of the place, and they're jumping along trying to catch up with him and bring him down and stop him and breaking his armor and stuff. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah. No, it was some of the most incredible action.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, worst villain. Now we just did our villain reviews. Mine are in line with basically what I did in our villain ranking. But worst villain, this was.
Can I wait? Let's see if we can guess each other's. I don't know. Mix this up. I'm gonna guess you said Enchantress.
No, I didn't.
Really?
Close.
Apocalypse.
No. I'm just gonna go tell you it's Lex Luthor.
Okay. Honestly, okay. Lex Luthor might actually be mine because I completely forgot about him. Completely
he was
forgot
really
about
bad.
him. I put Apocalypse.
Yeah, I can't. Like, he didn't stand out to me as bad or good. He was
just kind of, because I think the whole thing with him is he was wasted.
Yeah,
I think that's what made him the worst villain for me. He could have been incredible. Oscar Isaac could have done something incredible with it, but the whole thing was just so thrown away.
Yeah, I mean, like, his powers were cool at times, and his costume, parts of it were cool.
Yeah.
But Lex Luthor, man, I mean,
I'm changing it up. It's Lex Luthor.
Yeah. Bad choice for actor. Like, I like the actor, but just this portrayal, this version, not good.
Yeah, just super weird and creepy. We never really had any kind of motivation.
He just doesn't like Superman. He just doesn't, for no really good reason.
Yeah, they essentially were like, okay, we're just gonna make evil Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, and he's such an off-putting character. Like, he's just so like quirky and like always saying weird things and putting Jolly Ranchers in people's mouths while they're talking to him. Like,
that was uncomfortable.
Why? Yeah, I don't understand
I did not
that.
feel okay watching that.
And then creating Doomsday with no real plan for what he would do with it.
Yeah.
Even not even really knowing. I guess he knew because he tapped into the computer. And he kind of knew what would happen. But like, the thing immediately tries to kill him. That's the first thing it does. So, like, what was his idea? What was he thinking?
I think maybe it was just the arrogance of his intelligence where he's like, no, I am its creator. It will not harm me, and not putting any fail-safes in.
And like, Lex Luthor's supposed to be like, for the most part, calm and collected and intelligent.
Yeah, very meticulous.
Right. We didn't get any of that.
Yeah.
It's just, you want to feel that this guy is intimidating, and he can beat Superman with his mind.
Yeah.
And no, didn't get anything like that at all.
Yeah.
Super disappointing. All right. Best villain for me was Zemo.
I did not have Zemo.
Yeah, I know you didn't like Zemo as much as I did.
You are not gonna agree with my answer.
Who's your best villain?
The Joker.
What? He's not even a villain in the movie.
Yeah,
he's barely even in it.
He's trying.
Oh wait, you're talking about the Killing Joke.
Yeah.
That's fine. Well, I had Suicide Squad in my.
Oh no, not even. Oh, I didn't even think of that one.
Right,
no.
And I imagine anybody immediately listening might have thought that as well.
Okay, no, from the Killing Joke.
Okay.
Because he's basically trying. He's basically making assaults on like the tenet of humanity.
I respect this now.
That's why I said he was the. Yeah. Because he wasn't trying to be a threat to the world. He was basically just. He was just trying to corrupt the human spirit, which that's why I said he was the biggest villain. God, I feel sick now.
Yeah, right?
God, Jared Leto was so terrible. Oh, God.
No, yeah, the Killing Joke one, I mean, it is a sort of seminal character description of the Joker that we got in that story. So that is really good, yeah. I liked him. A little bit, like, I wouldn't give it to him just because the movie, he's only in half the movie.
Yeah.
And also, like, the end sequence with him is just like, what is going on at this point? Like, what does it matter anymore? But, I gave it to Zemo for what I said, of course, in the villain ranking. But Zemo is, he succeeded in his plan. And he never had to throw a punch.
Yeah.
And he did, you didn't see a lot of him, but you saw enough to see what his motivation was.
Yeah.
He was very hurt by what had happened to him that was caused by the Avengers' actions indirectly. Mm-hmm. And, he exacted his plan, revenge, and did what he needed to do. And in the end, he even was going to kill himself.
Yeah.
And because that's all he wanted. He just wanted to tear them apart and then end it.
Yeah. Yeah, he wanted to basically just destroy their family the way that they basically destroyed his.
Yeah. So like, there was a lot of emotion and impact to that character.
No, I get that.
And I just like the idea that they went with a villain that didn't fight them. Mm-hmm. In superhero movies where you expect them to fight some big monstrous doomsday garbage monster.
Yeah, almost as if they were able to find a villain that was able to beat them intellectually.
Yeah, right.
Weird.
Yeah.
DC should try that sometime.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they have a character that could do that somewhere in their lore.
Yeah, maybe if they have like a super intelligent person who, has the resources of a multinational corporation.
Yeah, who at some point becomes the president of the United States.
Yeah.
A plot line that can never happen anymore.
Yeah.
In that universe.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yep.
All right, now we have the worst supporting character.
Yep.
This one, I got this idea from my fiance.
I did not get this idea from your fiance.
And I immediately agreed. I was like, yep, that's probably it. And I went with Lois Lane from Batman vs. Superman.
Okay. I went with Archangel.
Okay.
Didn't serve a purpose.
You could probably say that about any character in X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah. But Archangel, I think, was one of the biggest missed opportunities because there's so much that they could have done with that character. But
you should make it Archangel / oh god, what's her name? The
Psylocke.
one Olivia Munn played, Psylocke.
Yeah.
Oh, what a horrible waste of a character.
Because at least I'm not joking. I actually thought of giving it to Psylocke. The only reason why I didn't give it to her is because she looked like Psylocke. Like the costume looked like Psylocke. She was great casting. I think the way she, for what little she was in there, the way she fought, I thought was very convincing and believable. I thought that was really well done.
You got some cool action out of her.
And that's why I didn't give it to her, because at least there was something redeemable. Where Archangel, it was, for a character that's like such a big character in the comics, to just kind of disrespect it that much by giving it nothing.
But then I felt that her costume, Psylocke, was actually out of place in that movie because nobody else had a comic book accurate costume.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
But yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gave it to Lois Lane because she is so pointless in this movie. She not only is she supposed to be the strong female character who doesn't need help. Mm-hmm. They do the opposite of that and make her need to be saved by Superman like at least 3 times in this movie.
Like, I can think of once.
Okay, so in the beginning, right? Superman has to save her from the terrorist guys, whatever they were.
Yeah, when he's totally cool with Jimmy Olsen dying.
Yeah, and then Superman has to save her when Lex throws her off the building.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then Superman has to save her when she's drowning, trying to get the dumb spirit thing.
Okay, I think I remember that one backwards, where I thought she went to save him.
No.
Yeah.
She gets trapped in the water,
right,
and Superman hears her knocking on the shit, and oh god.
Yeah.
And then her whole subplot was so irrelevant. Her going after and trying to find like this special bullet thing that like, oh, the special Lex Luthor bullet. Why would you make a bullet that basically had your signature all over it, telling people who shot this bullet, who funded this bullet? Like, what would be the purpose of ever doing that?
Yeah.
Just use regular bullets.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of an easy shot to say anyone in that movie because so much of it was throwaway. And
even her acting's fine, but she never has any significant standout moments or role. I don't think she's good casting for that character either. I just don't.
Yeah, which is really sad because Amy Adams is a great actress.
She is, yeah.
I mean, just watch almost anything with Amy Adams in it. Because I don't know, like
just watch Talladega Nights.
Yeah. A movie I don't really love, but like she was great in Arrival.
Oh yeah, really good in Arrival. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that other movie with
Enchanted?
No, with Batman.
Batman?
Yes, American Hustle.
Oh, American Hustle, yeah.
Dark Knight Batman.
Dark Knight. I'm like Batman versus
Forgetting
Superman?
Forgetting names right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Best Supporting Character.
Okay.
I'm curious to see what you picked. I picked Black Panther.
This was one of the ones where I tried to.
There are probably a lot of good choices.
Yeah, and I tried to fight against the obvious ones. So I actually went with Quicksilver.
From Apocalypse, I guess. I mean, I like him.
Yeah. I gave it to him because they gave more depth to his character. Yeah. They gave more purpose to his character. And they gave the best sequence in the movie to his character.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
So I think because most of the stuff that I find memorable about that movie had him involved. So I think that's why I said he was the best supporting character, because he was one of the few characters that I think actually kind of enhanced the movie watching experience. So
yeah, he was definitely one of the few characters in that movie that you liked and you wanted to see more of. And I like that moment where he goes up against Apocalypse and tries to fight him.
Yeah,
that was very cool.
Yeah, because he's actually succeeding a little, and then Apocalypse, kind of takes.
Yeah, him out, it looked like Apocalypse really had to figure out and think about how I'm going to stop this guy.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I think with this, it would have been very easy to give it to many characters throughout Civil War, but like I said, I didn't want to give everything to Civil War.
Exactly. Yeah, so I gave it to Black Panther because, I mean, what an incredible way to introduce a character. I mean, this is like, you basically gave us his origin story within the context of another awesome, great movie without affecting or slowing down the movie. Yeah. I mean, you got his motivation, you got his emotion, and you got to see him take action and become Black Panther, and the great action sequences with him. But even the scene with him fighting Winter Soldier without the suit was another really great scene with him.
Here is one thing about that I thought was really strange. Okay, so the Black Panther is the leader of Wakanda, right? Like, that's...
Well, yeah.
So his dad
had
is the
king.
Suit. Right. Yeah, his dad was the king, so his dad had that suit. And then he's like, well, my dad's dead. I need you guys to tailor this really quick. And maybe that's why he didn't show up for a little while in the movie.
I mean, I did think about that, but his dad was old. He may not have actually been the Black Panther anymore. Yeah. Physically. Like, his suit may have been, when he was younger, still in shape. Yeah. So it may have been fine. It was out of use for a while, and he's dusted it off.
He's just keeping it around because I mean, they were still wherever, right? Like,
I mean, I could imagine that he's actually used the Black Panther suit before. He's probably been in training.
Yeah, he's probably
to become the Black
it.
Panther. Yeah. With his father being the Black Panther, he would have access to it. So yeah, it's possible.
I don't know, I think there are a few things that they're going to have to answer because.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like in the comics, and they're bringing it in. They do say that it's only like the leader of Wakanda, can have the heart-shaped herb. Mm-hmm. So, are we to, is it because he was like grooming for the role of, leader that he already had trained as Black Panther and had the heart-shaped herb and all that stuff? Or was he given the heart-shaped herb, like, do they just kind of like carry it around in case?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. I could imagine that he was already in line to become the Black Panther at this point. Yeah. And with his father actually dying, that he finally took on the mantle, but yeah. Who knows? But we had a good arc with him as well. Him having this whole revenge plan to go after the Winter Soldier, and then in the end realizing and understanding that he wasn't the guy who actually killed him. He was just a pawn in the game, and then even deciding not to let Zemo kill himself in the end was a strong character moment for him, showing that he is all above else, like wants actual justice, and he's not about just going after people for revenge. So really, really cool stuff with him. Yeah. Very happy. I can't wait to see that movie now.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised that you didn't say Spider-Man for that, but...
Yeah, it was tempting, but he didn't have as big of a role, I thought, and I did like him, though. Yeah. Most of his great stuff is action. Yeah. So, next up, we have the worst hero.
I guarantee we are not going to match on this one.
Oh.
Sorry.
I went with Superman.
Superman was up there. I said Casey Jones.
Yeah, okay. That's a good choice.
Because it's just obvious. He was just bad.
Yeah.
And for however much I like Stephen Amell, like, it was just bad.
No, the whole, like, whiny, like, I'm gonna be a detective one day. Yeah. Like, what?
Yeah, it wasn't Casey Jones that you would have expected. And I'm fine with things not being what you expected if it works out, and this didn't work out.
No, yeah, poorly executed, kind of throwaway to the movie, not really important.
Yeah, it was one of the things where, it's like I said with the story, it's like they had a couple things that they wanted to get on screen, and they just loosely threaded them together, so, yeah, it was completely throwaway, but...
Yeah, I was thinking more along, like, the main characters, so that's why I went with Superman, because in Batman...
Well, in that case, I'll say Raphael.
Raphael.
No.
Superman, oh god, and Batman vs Superman is just the worst incarnation of Superman ever.
Oh, yeah.
Just the worst. He barely speaks. He doesn't say a lot in this movie. He doesn't say anything interesting in this movie.
Yeah.
They never even give him the chance because, you know, there's the one moment where I expect him to have this great, big, you know, hopeful Superman type moment in speech. And this was in the courtroom, right? And because I wanted to see him give his argument as to why he does what he does and why he thinks that it's okay for him to do it and what his value was to the world. And he got to say absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Not a single word. I was like, what a huge, colossal missed opportunity there.
Yeah.
And just his like depressy sort of dour and even mean, like the way he acts towards Batman without even knowing anything about him. And just, you know, of course, the first time we see him, he murders somebody. You know, don't, and no one can tell me that he doesn't kill that guy when he saves Lois.
Yeah.
He gives her that little, like, they give each other like a sort of little knowing nod look.
Yeah.
And he zooms in and blasts this guy through like 2-3 walls. I'm like, no, Superman doesn't do that. He just doesn't.
Yeah, there's just a lot bad with the execution of the role that Henry Cavill is doing, like, because there's, like, I would dare anyone to just compare any shot you have of Henry Cavill as Superman versus Chris Reeves as Superman, where Chris Reeves, you know, he comes off as, like, warm and friendly and hopeful and kind. Even, like, at the worst, like, he never comes off as angry. It's always concerned or worried or, you know, like, calculating, where he's trying to figure out what he's going to do next. But he's never angry unless you're considering the later movies when, like, he gets hit with the red kryptonite.
Yeah. Well.
But we're not counting. I'm not going to count that. I'm just, like, talking about his base Superman. Whereas Henry Cavill, like, if I'm being mugged and that dude, you know, like, stops the mugger, I'm going to be thankful, but I'm not going to be comforted.
No,
seeing
he's
somebody
scary looking.
Yeah.
Even his suit is intimidating looking.
Yeah, it's very like sharp and angular.
Yeah.
Like, it's muted
and
colors.
And the texture, it looks very tactical.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, so there's a lot about it that, you know, it looks more threatening than hopeful.
Yeah. You know, and I know people think that, that other version of the Christopher Reeve might be too corny to do now and
that's
cheesy.
Superman, dude.
But you don't have to do that. It's not like you can't, because all you gotta do is look at Captain America.
Yeah.
And you can see that you can have that type of, you know, all-American Boy Scout character who doesn't have to be corny or cheesy.
Yeah.
It can be done.
Yeah. I mean, same thing could be said for Grant Gustin on The Flash.
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah. Like, these are very good archetypes that you can learn from.
Yeah. So, next up is the best hero.
Best hero.
I hope we line up on this one.
I didn't say Doctor Strange.
No. Deadpool.
I said Captain America.
Wow. I thought, okay. Yeah. Deadpool, man. Okay, Deadpool. I mean, as much as I love Civil War, and I think every character is great in that movie.
Yeah.
Deadpool, he made that movie.
See, I would say Deadpool might be the best character, but I don't know if he was the best hero because everything he did was self-serving.
Well, if you want to look at it as the technical, most heroic.
He was a mercenary. Yeah. The only reason why he did any good, even toward the end, was it was basically to save, like, his girlfriend.
But he was never really a bad guy, though.
No, he wasn't a bad guy. Yeah. He was just self-serving.
Yeah.
When he was, because even before he was Deadpool, he was helping people, but he was only doing it for money.
Yeah, but he had morals. Like, he didn't want to, like, for example, in the beginning when he goes after that guy, the girl paid him to intimidate I forgot what he did. He was
stalking her.
Stalking. Yeah, something bad, right? But then she's like, "Oh, can you go beat up my dad for me or something?" And he's like, "No, I'm not going to do that, basically, because that's stupid and wrong and petty, you know." Yeah. It's like he had morals, and he's like, you can't say he's the most heroic, no, but like as far as the heroes go in these movies, like he was the one that I was like, this guy is great. Like he's just such a fun character. He's just perfect dead on, like, for the comic. The costume was great. The action that he did was great. He made that movie what it was. Without Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool,
flopped,
it would not have. It couldn't have worked.
Yeah.
No, and his endearing relationship with the girl, like, I just didn't expect that to be done so well.
Yeah. And
just his fun, like, revenge, him trying to find Francis. I mean, it was great. I really, really enjoyed him a lot.
Yeah. I mean, if the category was best titular hero, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I'll agree with that.
You went more the specific heroic guy.
Yeah. Where, like, what really got it for me was it was all very within his character, and he everything he did was for what he thought was best for the world. It came, a lot of it just came down to, like, the scene where he was talking to Tony about the Sokovia Accords, and he's basically saying, well, what if there's some place that we need to go that they say we can? What if there's some place that we know we shouldn't go that they say we have to? It's basically him just, saying, like, I know that what we're not doing is perfect, but I know what we're doing is for the best. Mm-hmm. And everything he did was for, what he knows to be the best. And for the most part, a lot of the people that are against him are the people that have been shown to be very self-serving and amoral. Mm-hmm. With Tony Stark, General Ross, Black Widow. The only one that, is really on that side that isn't very self-serving was Vision.
But then he basically changed sides.
But he changed, essentially, yeah. So, right.
He eventually came to realize that it wasn't the best course of action.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so I think that's really what it came down to is, just the character, not, he's not just fighting for his friend. He's not just fighting for himself. He's fighting for everyone, including the people that oppose him. Mm-hmm. So that's why I kind of had to give it to him as the best hero. Yeah. No,
and I agree with that. In looking at it that way, absolutely, you're correct.
Yeah.
I mean, his drive to help his friend Bucky, mm-hmm. throughout the entire movie was amazing. Such emotional depth with that, and in the end, like, up to the moment where, like, he's Winter Soldier's been activated again, and he's got to fight him a little bit, and then he gets in the helicopter, and that mm-hmm. moment where he's, like, holding the helicopter down, like, from it escaping, and then having it crash and him having to jump in the water he fell in the water with it and having to save him after that, like, such a really great heroic moment there.
Yeah. I'll even say
just for his friend,
Yeah, I'll even say again a moment like just for his friend, not with Bucky, but the very end when he sends the letter with the phone to Tony.
Yeah,
where he's basically saying, like, regardless of whatever happened, like, no matter what, like, I'm here for you. Like, I'm still your friend. I don't mm-hmm. care that my friend, killed your mom or whatever. If you need me, I will be there. Like, that was a perfect, like, Steve Rogers moment.
It's like a moment that gives you the feels,
Yeah. I'm just like that. It's like, this is everything that's lacking from, Batman vs Superman. This is everything that I want to see for these characters. Mm-hmm. Like, just the fact that, like, you can see that they're not just friends, that they've become a family, that's what I loved, mm-hmm. And it was all of that just had to make me give it to him.
Yeah. Great stuff there.
Yeah.
All right. Last category. Well, there's last two.
Yep.
We have the worst movie.
Yep.
And I gave this to Suicide Squad.
Yeah, we're on the same. I promise you right now, these last two are going to match.
Yeah,
up.
They're definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I don't even know if there's anything that needs to be said. Like, it was just a poor execution on a poor idea.
Yeah. I mean, there seemed to be so much potential. They have a lot of good actors, mm-hmm. good choices, good casting, and none of it worked.
Yeah. None of it. Just, it was a throwaway. It was, yeah. I have nothing to add. It was just bad.
Yeah, we've said probably enough on that.
Yeah. Throughout every podcast we've done, I think we somehow managed to bash Suicide Squad.
And then, and now best movie,
Civil
War.
Yeah.
And I think we've said probably enough about that as well.
Yeah. I think at this point, if anyone is surprised that we said those two, you're not paying attention.
Yeah. And it's really hard to debate any movie that was better than, as far as superhero movies go, than Civil War last year.
Yeah.
I mean, because it just has it all. It has the best action. It has great portrayals of all the characters. It has a great story.
It really does have something for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of serious moments. There's good amount of levity when you need it. The movie flows. It never really overstays its welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, there's very little bad you can say about this movie.
There's really only one thing about that movie that I can be really critical for. Well, two, but it's kind of the one is just really petty, and I've made the comment before where I'm just kind of tired of the he killed my mom.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm sorry, but if you want to be a superhero, you have to lose your parents. Basically, it's just a thing that happens. Just accept it.
But this was the best execution of that.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So, because you felt it too, like when Tony Stark actually went to the moment where he's like, all right, I don't care, like I'm gonna try to kill this guy because
like, I don't care.
Yeah,
he killed my mom.
Yeah, like you felt it.
Yeah, but there was that, but the one thing that I thought was really kind of forced into it was the whole Captain America, Sharon Carter. Romance.
It was a little bit forced
because it was completely unless somebody brings it up, you kind of forget that it was even there, and the two of them don't really have that great of a chemistry. So
yeah, I mean, I kind of like them together, but they didn't build it enough because you had to have watched the last movie recently or be very familiar with it to remember that there was anything maybe going on with them to be like to start. So
even though I did love the one moment, like after she gives them like their gear back and they kiss, and then he looks over and he's got his two best friends sitting in the car, and they're just sitting there so proud of basically like their little brother finally getting the girl.
So yeah, like there was good stuff that came out.
Yeah, there was good stuff that came out of it. I just thought the handling of the relationship itself was a little forced.
Yeah, for sure. Weird, and you could even criticize a little bit of why Spider-Man was even in the movie, even though I loved it and I wanted him there.
Oh yeah.
And his one scene outside of the fight, when Tony Stark going to his house, and it was really good scene.
Oh yeah.
But like, it's hard to justify why Tony Stark would really bring him in on it.
Yeah, it was really just there because it was going to be cool and get people excited.
Yeah, but it worked.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
fine. All right. So I think we're done for this week.
I'd say so.
I hope you enjoyed our movie awards, Superheroes 2016 movie awards.
Yep.
We'll do it again.
Yeah.
At the end of, we'll probably do it earlier in the year next year.
Yeah, probably January you could expect to hear the 2017 awards.
This has been an interesting year. There's been a lot of stuff that could go either way next year. So with that, we'll bring this to a close.
Mm-hmm.
This has been the Superheroes Journey, episode number 7.
Yes.
And my name is Carl Freemerman.
I'm Brian Shores.
Find us and write to us, comment, follow us on Twitter.
Yes.
At Superhero Journey. No E in super. Write to us with any feedback you have. The superheroesjourney@gmail.com, where heroes is plural, not possessive. As well, we also have our YouTube channel, which is Superheroes Journey. You can listen to our podcast there. You can subscribe to us there and comment as well.
Yep. And then just any platform you're listening to this on, just leave a comment and a review. It'll just help people to find us. And just keep in mind that this podcast is really just a start of conversation that we'd love to bring you guys in on.